What is up, guys? Hope you're doing well. I'm coming at you with one of my favorite testimonies that I've personally witnessed and been a part of, but it's still a little bit of me living vicariously through someone else. But I was there, okay? But I'm not the main character. But what was it? Maybe like 3 springs ago, maybe spring 2021, when I led a mission trip to Kansas City with our college ministry. And there are really several testimonies from this trip that are crazy. I guess I'll just have to go into some of those because we haven't gone there yet. But the one that I was going to share this morning, it's the morning, by the way, or I'm at, happened during one of our worship times, and I'll just kind of get into it. So there's a guy named Chris who I actually got to marry a couple months later, and also got to have over for dinner a couple days ago. And it's just amazing. Love this guy. He, for like his entire life, I don't know when he actually got diagnosed, but had been diagnosed for many years at this point with bipolar, as well as OCD, horrific thought syndrome. And he said it felt like a cloud was just always with him, like just times where he just felt just a lot of evil thoughts, or just hated himself, or felt like he wasn't himself. And at times it would just really, really discourage him, like he was, taking his prescription medicines and everything for it, but just really discouraged, disappointed, frustrated that was a part of his life, and there was this worship time where he was I guess just feeling that cloud pretty intensely, and he literally wrote down in his journal, was just praying that God would send someone like from one of us. There's like about 20 people in the room, and I'm not sure how many people in the room knew that he had bipolar. I might have been one of just a few, for sure. Just a few at max. But he was praying, God, would you send someone to pray for my head, like, please. And here's where the story starts to get exciting. Is a few minutes later, a girl named Chelsea, who had absolutely no idea of any type of mental illness that Chris was struggling with or experienced. Also, can y'all just appreciate how beautiful it looks outside? Arkansas, guys. Underrated. You know what? I'm going to drive the long way just so y'all can see this amazing little trail. It's not really a trail. If you're driving north, it is the fast way. But I drive directly east. And so it's the slightly slow way for me this morning, but I'm going to take it just for y'all. That said, Chelsea comes up to Chris and says, hey, this might be totally random, but I feel like God asked me to come pray for your head. All right, I could end the testimony right there, right? Like, what in the world? God talks to people, guys. This ain't just people manifesting things in the environment with their karma juices, Holy smokers, this ain't no jokers, as another YouTube Jeremy would say. Anyways, so Chris is like, no way. And is praying, whatever. So she prays for him, and so he like shares basically his prayer request of, man, I just want this cloud to go away. And so she prays, for that, and just big picture for, bipolar to be healed. And immediately after the prayer, the cloud goes away. Like, he feels normal. It's like if you were drunk, you just got immediately sobered. Like, just completely in his sound mind again. And at this point, one, of course, he's super encouraged, but also he was like kind of internally struggling or debating, like, am I actually healed? Because I don't, like, he's like a pretty zealous person and had high faith for things before at different points in his life, and like, had come back to earth, or like ended up looking like a fool. He's like, I don't want to think that I'm healed and then not be, but at the same time, he was definitely in that moment healed. So he goes over to Array, his I guess fiance at the time, or maybe they were still boyfriend girlfriend, I'm not actually positive. Probably fiance, I don't know, it was all so quick with their relationship. First date to married in like less than 6 months. I think it's the fastest ever that I've personally known. Anyways, they're great. Talks to Array about it, and one cool thing that happens during this is my favorite part. This is the tree canopy of the drive. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it, but it's just so beautiful. Another thing he had been praying for is that he would be able to cry. And that was associated with bipolar as well. Like, I guess with the medicines, like, it just numbed out his mood, basically. And so it had been a long time, like years. I don't know if he knew when he would be able to cry. And I guess earlier, before our worship time, I had preached a message or had just shared a little scripture, because apparently this is where I can make a brief introduction into the testimony, because he journaled, like, I just want to cry like Jeremy. Or I want to be able to cry like Jeremy. Guys, that's what y'all want to be known for, all right? How much more masculine can I get right now? So funny. Actually, it is a cool testimony, because earlier this year I shared about how I've been praying that God would help me to be able to cry, and that had been years and years and years since I had. And anyway, so he's praying he'd be able to cry like me, and as he's sharing with Array what happened, his head getting prayed for, the cloud going away, he shed one literal tear, and he was like, Ray, look. Which was cool. But he's like externally processing with her, do I believe that I'm healed or not? And she encourages him that he is in fact healed. And so later that, like towards the end of that worship session, he shares in front of the group this testimony of what he was experiencing. Asked for someone to come pray for his head. Person comes, he's healed, and this is the first time I'm hearing of any of it. And I'm like how most of you guys are probably. Well, some of you guys are like, no, that don't happen. Okay, I wasn't like that, but I was like very cautious, like, okay, Lord, like, I don't know that much about bipolar, but I think the symptoms can be more or less intense at different points. Like, let's, like, not like he's not healed, but like, let's just be cautious about it, kind of like, we'll see. But thankfully I didn't speak up, because the rest of the room just like erupted in faith and this guy named Emmanuel just like begins like declaring truth over Chris, and Chris begins like the outpour of weeping just starts coming from his eyeballs, and he's crying like a baby up there about how relieved he is, how thankful he is, how difficult of a journey it's been in bipolar. And like everyone just gets up and surrounds him with this big hug, and then everyone's praying at the same time while embracing Chris. And it's like, it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment that I was so happy to be there for, and was a part of myself, obviously. And I was just amazed by the faith in the room of like, boom, done. Literally the next day, he's externally processing this in his journal time with the Lord. Feels like God invites him to throw away his meds. Which again, if you're going like by the book 101, believing for healing from bipolar, throwing away the meds would be like not really in the book, especially like day one. But he did, okay? And literally, guys, it has been 2.5 years, and he is still 100% healed, legit, like bona fide, delivered from bipolar and from OCD, horrific thought syndrome, which that moment had a significant part to play in. And then there was another deliverance session that he experienced later on. But the bipolar was like immediate. Like hearing him testify about it, even just a couple days ago, I was asking him like just to walk me through even more what it was like, you know. And man, but it was evident even then, like posture changed, tone of voice changed, joy, just like contentment just exuding from him, whereas he was just like kind of like lackadaisical, like almost came off as a little bit depressed, kind of hunched over, just very overly nonchalant, to the point where it wasn't just, oh, he's reserved, or oh, he's just a chill guy, but like you could just tell that his mood was being artificially suppressed, you know, through this medication and stuff. And guys, Ray knew him super closely, right? Dated him for several months and experienced that change in a moment. Like the next day, different person. His parents, okay, his dad is a doctor. Like they've walked with him closely. You know, he went to school and then dropped out of school. Like they've been through struggles with him, right? And things that he wants to do or thinks he can do and fails, or you know, whatever. It's just the upbringing and the from adolescence into adulthood while dealing with bipolar. Despite being frustrated at him for throwing away his meds so soon, they also have experienced a significantly different person. Like they agree that he was healed, even though that goes against anything they've really known before. They're not like charismatic people, you know, like healing from bipolar. I don't know if that was really on their grid beforehand at all. And so such a crazy testimony, right? And then he got to share it at church the next day, which at that point, again, it was just 2 days in, but just the faith, the confidence, the boldness that God was inviting him into, that hey, no, this really is real. And it wasn't like Chris mustering up the faith for it. Like it's like he was okay if it wasn't real. You know, like when he was praying about, do I walk with this? Do I cling on to this? Like, is this for real? He was totally comfortable, maybe even more comfortable with the answer being no, and moving on. You know, like of course he did want to be healed, but he was not trying to muster it up, and he was like not like he wasn't just YOLOing it, if that makes sense. even though obviously it sounds like he was. But what I'm really just trying to say is he was genuinely trying to hear God in this process. And what's crazy, guys, is God healed him from bipolar. And like I got to see it, like, and other people got to see it. And Array, his wife, like, we know her well also, and like she got to see it. Like, and it's been 2.5 years, and it was in a moment. And it was from asking God for someone to pray, and then God telling someone else to go pray, and then Array, like, just in the room, and the faith, and the more prayers, and just the eruption of joy that is his life. And man, the things he's been able to do since, there's no way he would have been able to do without that healing. And everything he's done has been for the kingdom, like for the glory of God. Like he's been able to live a so much more radical and surrendered life, and grown in so many other ways too, without this inhibition. And so this isn't like a prescriptive thing, right? You don't share a testimony and like, so now you go get healed from your mental illness. Like, that's not the point of this. I'm just sharing a testimony of something that God did, and God, if he can do it once, he can do it again. And so, man, just thankful for that expression of his love and his power, and ultimately he is a healer. He's not someone that is looking to curse or to destroy or to inhibit, but he is the healer, and the one with compassion, the one who sees. Even bipolar, guys, even whatever the thing that seems like it's impossible, like he can. And it's like, in this case, it was totally for his glory, Like, Chris didn't just get healed and say, thanks, God. But he's just continued to live for him. So, anyways, man, hope y'all are encouraged. This really happened. I didn't make any of this up, okay? That'd be weird. It'd be so weird. All right, that's all I got for y'all today. I'll talk to y'all soon. Life is worship. God is love.